I know that the reason you've clicked on this video is probably because you've never heard about explaining a serious topic using SpongeBob as an example, but I think that all the YouTube business gurus have already made this kind of video, so I decided to do something a bit more complex and entertaining. I hope you're ready to dive into the SpongeBob universe and see it from a different angle. Let's begin. SpongeBob's universe has so many different personalities and many problems that are common in our world. Unfair salaries, betrayals, and greed. All these problems are portrayed in cartoon form. However, if you take the overall idea of some SpongeBob episodes, you can make a serious documentary about serious problems in our world. There are 4 different personalities in this show, which I think would be a great example of how some people get richer and how some get poorer due to different reasons. The first one is the titular main protagonist of the animated series of the same name, SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob is basically a sponge who lives in a pineapple and works at the Krusty Krab restaurant. He is hyperactive, childish, and relatively smart, able to distinguish right from wrong in comparison to his best friend. Overall, he has a hardworking and not so ambitious demeanor, which describes much of our world. But what really stands out about his personality is that he doesn't care about money. Maybe because SpongeBob's house in canon was literally just a pineapple that got dropped off a pirate ship, and even came pre-equipped with all the furniture. Or he is somewhat of an artist who has found his passion, or what he can do for the rest of his life, without the urgency of payment. SpongeBob's character embodies someone who doesn't really push for success in life. He already has his favorite home, job, and friends. Imagine he's the kind of guy who's lived in the same place for most of his life, and on his 18th birthday, his parents gave him a home as a gift. They might have thought it was a great idea, but without meaning to, they sort of took away his drive to earn money and shield him from understanding how the real world works. That's why he always stays so positive and almost never gets upset, even about serious things, because he's never known truly how challenging and difficult life can be sometimes. The next character I want to talk about is Mr. Krabs. He exemplifies a different personality type in our video. Mr. Krabs is a red crab who is the owner of the Krusty Krab. He is the only one in this video who has found a way to become rich, but at what cost? And is it worth it? Eugene Harold Krabs is portrayed as an extremely greedy, irrationally cheap, and sometimes hypocritical person who is obsessed with money. And like any human who is obsessed with money or something materialistic, the reason behind it may be some mental problems. I would say that Mr. Krabs is so obsessed with money because it's a distraction from his lack of friends or family. The pursuit of riches covers up his depression, poor relations with his mom/daughter, and broken childhood friendship with Plankton. Yes, he is probably the richest person in Bikini Bottom, but what's the reason for having that much money if you're not even willing to spend it? He could be a perfect role model for those who want to build their business. Strict, disciplined, and passionate. All these words usually describe a perfect businessman, which Mr. Krabs is for sure in the SpongeBob universe. While I can only discuss whether his approach to business is correct or not, he is still richer than any of the main characters in the series. The next character we will discuss is Mr. Krabs' biggest competitor, Plankton. Sheldon J. Plankton is a platonic copepod who runs the Chum Bucket restaurant, which is technically the main competitor of the Krusty Krab. Plankton is egotistical, aggressive, and power-hungry. He is very jealous of Mr. Krabs and his success. If Mr. Krabs has an obsession with money, Plankton, on the other hand, has an obsession with power. There could be a couple of reasons behind that. One, it could be that after Plankton and Mr. Krabs parted ways to create the Krusty Krab, Plankton always thought he was better and smarter than Krabs and believed that he could do much better if he did everything by himself. Another reason runs much deeper. It's his desire to prove that he is valuable. Plankton is basically a platonic copepod. No one has taken him seriously his whole life, and when his only friend, Mr. Krabs, as Plankton thinks, betrayed him, he started to find ways to harm Mr. Krabs' business or steal the formula of the Krabby Patty. Plankton represents a person who, after failing to find ways to improve his life or make friends, begins to view everyone around him as enemies. Despite being one of the smartest characters, Plankton lives basically in a trash bin. He could certainly be as rich as Mr. Krabs, but due to his jealousy and inferiority, he is not trying to create something of his own. Instead, he wants everyone around him to be scared of him. He sees that as the only way to get attention and be respected as a person. Finally, the last character I want to talk about is Squidward, or by his full name, Squidward JQ Tentacles. He works at the same restaurant as SpongeBob and even lives next to his pineapple house. However, compared to SpongeBob, who loves his job too much that he could work for free, Squidward hates it with all his heart. Money was important to him, but if we look at his house and look at the inside and what hobbies he has, I can confidently say that he came from a wealthy family because he cannot buy all of these things on a salary from the Krusty Krab. So maybe his mom and pops are footing the bill for him, but it's only my guess. I'm sure that when you watched SpongeBob as a child, one of your least favorite characters was Squidward because of how unhappy and boring he was. But with time, many people found Squidward in themselves. Squidward never wanted to work as a cashier. He wanted to build his career in music or something art-oriented. but life decided otherwise. The only time he is happy is when he comes back home after work and plays his clarinet. After humiliating himself during a live clarinet performance, he was laughed at by high society, and his confidence in clarinet playing took a nosedive. Squidward's dream to become a professional clarinetist was destroyed not by him, but by other people who found him to be a joke. To escape this cycle, Squidward is ready to work at his hated job just to avoid feeling disgraced again, and after he comes back home from work, he can play his clarinet for himself when nobody can say how bad he is. I mentioned the most common problems that prevent you from being successful or obstacles that interfere with your success. Additionally, there are a couple of characters that represent different personality types. Patrick, who embodies a person with very low ambition, has come to terms with the idea that he will not succeed in life due to his differences in abilities compared to others. And Sandy Cheeks, who is described as a very talented individual who excels at whatever she does, however, due to her awareness of her own superiority and hint of arrogance, she finds it difficult to make friends. Her only friends are the simple-minded SpongeBob and Patrick, who overlook her negative traits. The SpongeBob universe is deeper than we all thought. There are also some interesting personalities that deserve to be talked about. Movies and cartoons are brilliant because you can see yourself in the characters and understand what you should avoid doing. It's always easier to notice someone else's weaknesses compared to accepting your own. So next time you watch a movie or cartoon, try to think like the character, understand their problems and how to solve them. Maybe you'll find a way to solve your own.